I believe you already know, the lawyer said calmly, folding his hands, that your father's accounts were completely empty before his death. The room went dead silent. Empty. The word echoed in the minds of Oliver Hayes' children as rain battered the tall windows behind them. For a moment, none of them spoke, because none of them could. It didn't make sense. It couldn't. Their father had built everything from nothing: properties, businesses, savings, a lifetime of sacrifice, and now the man sitting across from them was claiming it had all vanished. Ethan Hayes was the first to move. He didn't shout. He didn't panic. He simply leaned forward, his voice low and controlled. That's impossible. Across the desk sat Grant Holloway, their father's family lawyer of 20 years. His suit was flawless. His smile was smooth, too smooth. Unfortunately, Holloway replied, medical expenses, poor investments, and unforeseen debts drained everything. Lena Hayes felt her stomach tighten. She had heard lies before. This sounded like one. And the properties, she asked, the farmland, the rental buildings, Dad was still collecting rent last month. Holloway gave a slow, patient nod, like a teacher correcting a foolish student. Appearances can be deceiving, Miss Hayes. At the end of the row, 13-year-old Noah Hayes stayed quiet. His hand was buried deep inside his hoodie pocket, gripping a small brown envelope, his father's final gift. His father's final warning. If something feels wrong after I'm gone, trust yourself. Noah looked up at the lawyer. For just a second, their eyes met. And Holloway looked away first. That's when Noah knew. This wasn't a mistake. This was a lie. Holloway slid a stack of papers across the desk. Sign these settlement documents, and we can close the estate quickly. Ethan didn't touch them. Where's the will? He asked. Holloway paused, just long enough to be noticed. The original has been misplaced, he said, and without assets, it's largely irrelevant. Lena let out a short, humorless laugh. You expect us to believe that? Holloway's smile tightened. I expect you to accept reality. Noah felt his heart pound. Reality was exactly what his father had prepared him for. As they stood to leave, Holloway watched them closely. Too closely. He believed they were walking away confused, defeated, easy to clean up later. What he didn't know was this. Oliver Hayes had planned for this moment long before his final breath. And the truth was already in his son's pocket. Waiting. The Hayes family home was quiet, yet charged with energy. The storm outside had softened to a drizzle, but inside, tension crackled in the air like electricity. The small oak table in the center of the room, once the place Oliver Hayes had guided his children through life lessons and family decisions, now bore the weight of truth waiting to be revealed. Noah sat at the edge of the table, fingers brushing the brown envelope that contained his father's last gift. Ethan and Lena flanked him, their expressions a mixture of determination, disbelief, and fury. The three siblings had faced death, betrayal, and lies in the past few days, yet nothing had prepared them for the scope of the deception they were about to uncover. Ethan reached over and picked up the envelope with deliberate care. He looked at Noah. You sure you're ready for this, little man? He asked, though his tone carried no doubt. Noah met his older brother's gaze and nodded. Dad trusted me, he said softly. I won't let him down. With a deep breath, Ethan carefully tore open the envelope. Inside lay a small flash drive and a folded handwritten note in Oliver Hayes' unmistakable handwriting. Noah's eyes widened as Ethan unfolded the note. My children, if you are reading this, it means Holloway has shown his true colors. He will attempt to steal my legacy, but he will not succeed. Everything you need to prove the truth is on the flash drive. Trust each other. Protect what is ours. Courage is the weapon of the wise. Dad! Noah swallowed hard. His heart raced, but a calm resolve settled over him. The flash drive was the key, the tangible proof of everything Holloway had tried to hide. The files of truth. Ethan quickly connected the flash drive to his laptop. A neatly organized file structure appeared. Bank accounts, property deeds, business records, audio and video evidence, legal correspondence. Lena leaned forward, her fingers tapping impatiently against the tabletop. He didn't just give us proof, he left a roadmap to expose Holloway completely, she said, scanning the folder names. Ethan began with the bank accounts. As they opened each folder, a clear picture emerged. All 7 accounts were active, with balances untouched by the fraudulent claims Holloway had made. Every asset their father owned was accounted for: properties, rental buildings, farmland, and even the family's small chain of logistics businesses. Not a single lie had slipped past Oliver Hayes' foresight. "None of it is missing," Ethan murmured. "Every number, every deed, it's all here," Holloway lied. Lena's eyes narrowed, and he thought we wouldn't notice. He thought our youth or our inexperience would keep him safe. Noah shifted in his seat, fingers brushing the flash drive again. "Dad said we could handle it if we trusted each other," he whispered. The siblings began reviewing the video files. One, labeled confidential Holloway meeting, caught their attention immediately. They played it, and the grainy footage filled the laptop screen. There was Holloway, leaning back in a leather chair, smiling as though he owned the world. "They won't know what's missing," Holloway said confidently. "I'll handle it. The kids are too young to understand. This will be easy." Ethan and Lena exchanged glances. Their blood boiled, but Noah remained calm. Oliver Hayes' voice, steady and firm, countered Holloway's smug tone. "If you think I'll let you steal from my children, you're gravely mistaken." The siblings watched in silence as Holloway laughed, oblivious that a camera was recording his every word. For the first time, the scope of the betrayal became fully clear. Holloway hadn't just attempted to lie to them, he had actively tried to steal their father's life's work, believing his position of authority would protect him. The strategy emerges. Ethan shut the laptop and looked at his siblings. "We need a plan, but this isn't about revenge, it's about protecting Dad's legacy and making sure justice is served." Lena nodded. "Step 1, verify every document. Step 2, confront Holloway. Step 3, involve law enforcement, but only when we're ready. He shouldn't see it coming." Noah's small hands clenched around the flash drive. "I can help," he said. "Dad trusted me with this." Ethan smiled. "Exactly, that's why we're going to do it right." For hours, they went through the files, cross-checking bank statements, property deeds, and business records. Every fraudulent claim Holloway had made was debunked. Every missing document he had tried to fabricate was accounted for. By nightfall, they had a complete dossier of evidence. Holloway's arrogance. Meanwhile, back at Whitmore and Associates, Holloway believed the Hayes siblings were intimidated. He sipped his coffee, reviewing his notes, confident they would return to sign the settlement papers. He had underestimated one critical factor: the intelligence and foresight of the Hayes children. "They're too young to fight me," he muttered to himself. "They'll cave, they always do." He didn't see the storm that had been quietly building in the Hayes home, the calm before the final strike. Setting the trap. The next morning, Ethan made a discreet call to Sheriff Mitchell, explaining the situation without revealing too much. The sheriff, a tall and imposing man who had known Oliver Hayes personally, promised a swift and professional response. Meanwhile, Lena prepared digital copies of all the files, ready to present them at Holloway's office. Noah, carrying the original flash drive and envelope, felt the weight of responsibility settle over his small shoulders. He understood his role perfectly. He had to be the keeper of truth, the catalyst for justice. They arrived at Holloway's office in the late afternoon, rain drizzling gently, reflecting the calm before the final confrontation. Holloway looked up, expecting frightened children ready to sign whatever papers he had prepared. What he didn't expect was this: 3 siblings, calm, confident, and armed with undeniable proof. Noah's eyes met Holloway, unwavering and sharp. For the first time in decades, Holloway felt uncertain. The first confrontation. Ethan started with questions, his tone polite but firm. "Mr. Holloway, you claimed there were no remaining assets. Can you explain why 7 bank accounts are still active and untouched?" Holloway's smile faltered slightly. There must be some confusion." Lena pressed further. "And these property deeds, which you said were mortgaged, how are they fully paid?" Holloway's hands twitched. He tried to remain composed, but the cracks were forming. Every dodge, every pause, only confirmed their suspicions. Noah, silent until now, shifted slightly and placed the flash drive on the desk. Holloway's eyes flicked to it, but he said nothing. Ethan leaned in closer. "We have video evidence of you planning to steal our father's estate. You underestimated us, and you underestimated him." Holloway's confident posture wavered. I can explain." Ethan cut him off. "No, Holloway, the truth doesn't need explanation, it just is." The calm before justice. As Holloway tried to regain control, Lena discreetly played one of the recordings on the office laptop. Holloway's own words filled the room. "They won't notice, I'll handle everything, easy." His face drained of color. He tried to reach for his phone, perhaps to call for help, but it was too late. Sheriff Mitchell and 2 deputies entered, their presence silent yet commanding. Holloway realized, finally, that the game was over. Ethan, Lena, and Noah watched as justice began to unfold. The storm outside had ceased, but the storm within Holloway's carefully constructed world was collapsing completely. The office of Whitmore and Associates had never felt colder. Holloway's polished empire of lies was cracking, and for the first time, he realized that the Hayes siblings were not children. They were a force, guided by the precision and foresight of their father. Noah, clutching the brown envelope, stood silently between Ethan and Lena. His small hands betrayed no fear, only determination. Every second they waited, Holloway's overconfidence continued to unravel. "The evidence strikes." Ethan began with calm authority. "Mr. Holloway, we know everything." Holloway's smile faltered. I don't know what you mean," he stammered. Lena tapped a folder on the desk. "Your claims of empty accounts, your attempts to forge documents, your meetings planning to divert the estate, all of it is documented, all of it is on record." Holloway's hand twitched toward the phone. "This is ridiculous," he muttered. "I am their lawyer. I handled the estate faithfully." Noah stepped forward, small but unyielding. "You lied. You tried to take from us what Dad built. You underestimated him, and you underestimated me." Holloway froze. The words of the 12-year-old echoed like a hammer striking stone. "The recording." Noah handed the flash drive to Ethan, who connected it to the office laptop. The video played, showing Holloway in his own office, speaking directly about the plan to take the Hayes inheritance. "They won't know what's missing. I'll handle it discreetly." Holloway's face turned pale. He tried to reach for the laptop. Ethan's hand blocked him. "Don't touch it." Lena's voice was ice. "Your own words are proof. Fraud, forgery, conspiracy, all on tape." Holloway's calm demeanor shattered. His hands trembled. This is impossible." Noah whispered, almost to himself, "Dad knew you'd try this." Holloway's last attempt. Desperate, Holloway lunged for a folder, hoping to confuse or intimidate. Ethan intercepted him, slamming the folder onto the desk. "We're not signing anything, not today, not ever." Holloway's panic grew. He muttered rapidly, trying to salvage his lies. But the siblings were ready. Every document had been cross-verified, every asset accounted for. There was no escape. At that moment, the office door opened. Sheriff Mitchell stepped in with 2 deputies. Holloway's eyes widened in horror. "Grant Holloway," the sheriff said calmly, "you are under investigation for fraud, forgery, and conspiracy to defraud the Hayes estate." Holloway tried to speak. I'm a respected attorney. This is a misunderstanding." The sheriff's hand raised. We have all the evidence, including recordings and documents. You have no defense." The handcuffs clicked shut. Holloway, the once powerful lawyer, was now powerless. Victory and relief. The siblings left the office together. Noah, for the first time in weeks, allowed himself a small smile. The weight of responsibility was still there, but it was tempered by triumph. Ethan clapped a hand on his little brother's shoulder. "You did it," he said quietly. "We all did, but you carried Dad's trust." Lena nodded. "He knew you could handle it. He always did." The rain outside had stopped. Sunlight broke through the clouds. The Hayes family walked together, shoulders squared, the burden of betrayal lifted. Their father's legacy remained intact, and justice had been served. The moral becomes clear. Oliver Hayes had taught them. Lies rely on silence. Courage exposes deception. True power isn't wealth or titles, it's trust, strategy, and family unity. Noah's small hands had held the proof, his heart had held the courage, and his mind had understood his father's lesson. Holloway had underestimated them, and in doing so, he sealed his own fate. The courtroom was tense, the kind of tension that makes every heartbeat echo in your chest. Grant Holloway sat at the defense table, a man stripped of confidence, his hands fidgeted, his polished veneer of control was gone. All that remained was a man caught in the net of his own lies. Across the room sat the Hayes siblings, Ethan, Lena, and Noah. They were calm, composed, and resolute. The weight of the past weeks had made them stronger. Their father's legacy wasn't just money or property, it was trust, intelligence, and courage. And tonight, that legacy would be honored. The trial begins. The prosecutor stood, a commanding presence, and addressed the court. Grant Holloway used his position of trust to attempt to steal the Hayes family estate. He forged documents, falsified accounts, and planned to divert assets from children who trusted him implicitly. We have irrefutable evidence. Screens flickered to life, showing every piece of proof: bank statements, property deeds, business records, emails, and most damning of all, the video of Holloway conspiring to take the estate. The courtroom gasped. Holloway's face turned pale as he saw his own words broadcast for everyone to hear. "They won't know what's missing. I'll handle it discreetly." Ethan's voice broke the silence. "You underestimated us. You underestimated him." He nodded toward Noah. Noah, small but unwavering, met Holloway's eyes. "Dad trusted me to protect our family, and I did." Holloway stammered, his mouth opening and closing, unable to find a defense. The verdict. After hours of evidence and testimonies, the judge finally spoke. His voice echoed in the courtroom, firm and unwavering. "Grant Holloway, you are found guilty of fraud, forgery, conspiracy, and breach of fiduciary duty. You are hereby sentenced to federal prison and permanently disbarred from practicing law." The gavel struck. Final, absolute, justice had been served. Aftermath. Holloway's empire crumbled. Clients withdrew, legal authorities investigated further, and his reputation was ruined forever. The Hayes siblings, however, emerged victorious. Every property was intact. Every business was secure. The inheritance their father had built with a lifetime of effort remained with the family. More importantly, their father's teachings had been proven true: trust wisely, act courageously, and defend the truth. The letter revisited. Back at the Hayes home, Noah sat at the old oak table, the flash drive resting in front of him. He unfolded his father's note once more. "They will try to take what I built, but they will never take who you are." Ethan knelt beside him. "You made him proud, Noah. You made us all proud." Lena smiled, placing a hand on Noah's shoulder. "Courage isn't measured by age, it's measured by heart." Noah's eyes shimmered with quiet pride. He had been the youngest, the smallest, the seemingly weakest, but in truth, he had been the strongest. The morals. The Hayes family had learned something powerful. Lies rely on silence. Authority does not guarantee morality. Courage, unity, and trust in each other can overcome the most calculated deception. True legacy isn't about wealth, it's about protecting truth and family. And Noah, just 13, had become the living embodiment of that lesson. A new beginning. The sun broke through the clouds outside, painting the city in hues of gold and orange. The Hayes siblings walked together, side by side. They were a family united, stronger than ever. They had faced betrayal, deception, and greed, and they had triumphed. Sometimes, the smallest voice carries the heaviest truth. Sometimes, the quietest courage shakes the strongest walls. Oliver Hayes' legacy was safe, not because of money, but because he had taught his children the greatest wealth of all: wisdom, trust, and integrity. Noah looked up at his siblings and whispered, "We did it." Ethan smiled, "Yes, we did, and this is just the beginning." Lena added softly, "The truth always wins." And with that, the Hayes family stepped forward into a future secured not just by assets, but by love, trust, and courage.